The unexpected stars. How two unknowns became sitcom legends. They appeared without warning, delivered a single phrase, and the entire soundstage erupted. These weren't your typical supporting players. They were unpredictable energy in working-class disguises, dominating every moment they inhabited. Yet beneath the applause lay an untold narrative. How did two obscure performers infiltrate one of television's biggest shows? And what kept the leading actresses from revealing the real story for decades? The answer involves informal gatherings, spontaneous character work, and production secrets that never made it to air. This is how an unexpected comedy duo altered television forever. It started at a casual gathering, long before studio audiences' signature phrases or that distinctive greeting that brought down the house. These characters were simply two people entertaining friends at an informal party. The stars would remember that evening fondly for years afterward. Everything began in an ordinary living room. No casting directors, no prepared material. Just a relaxed get-together where creative people gathered to unwind. The hostess and her filmmaker husband regularly welcomed performers, writers, and comedians into their home. On this particular evening, two guests made an unforgettable impression. A pair of sketch performers from an underground comedy troupe that had earned devoted followers throughout the decade. Their improvisational skills and instinctive timing made them impossible to forget. Then something remarkable occurred. Mid-conversation, these two suddenly transformed, becoming entirely different people right there among the party guests. Nobody prompted them, one observer recalled with a smile. They simply shifted into these personas. Instantly, they embodied two peculiar, endearing misfits with exaggerated speech patterns, distinctive mannerisms, and undeniable chemistry. The entire room dissolved into laughter. The transformation felt effortless, unplanned, and completely memorable. One actress remembered the energy vividly. They had this natural rhythm between them. The way they played off each other, it felt like they'd performed this routine for years. Beyond funny, it was magnetic. The show's producer recognized it immediately. No script necessary to understand this worked. What emerged was pure comedic instinct. Physical timing, verbal interruptions, perfectly calibrated pauses that generated explosive reactions. The timing proved ideal. The show needed exactly this. Characters who could burst in, create delightful havoc, and leave audiences breathless. So, a recommendation was made. You need to see what these two can do. Within days, they received the call. No traditional auditions, no lengthy vetting process, just an opportunity to demonstrate their abilities. When they entered that production space, history repeated itself. They didn't merely perform, they commanded attention, exactly as they had at that casual party. Laughter filled every corner without pause. They seemed absurd, amplified, yet somehow authentically committed to their strangeness. Like capturing electricity in a container, someone observed. They'd arrive, earn their laughs, and exit, every single time. That improvised living room performance evolved into television legend. It wasn't luck, it was instinct meeting opportunity perfectly. The name that changed everything. When the show launched, nobody predicted that two neighborhood characters, initially called something completely different, would become cultural icons. The concept seemed straightforward. Introduce two local guys, even more awkward and outrageous than the leads. The chemistry worked instantly, and audiences responded powerfully. But before America met these characters, a production decision transformed their entire identity. According to sources, the original version wasn't supposed to include the name everyone remembers. The character had a different ethnic identity, designed to match the show's existing neighborhood flavor. Too many of one background already, the producer explained simply. Between existing characters and the established cultural atmosphere, producers decided they needed contrast. So they changed course entirely. The original concept disappeared, and a new identity emerged. Same comedy partnership, completely different persona. This wasn't merely cosmetic. The transformation freed the duo to become bigger, stranger, and far less predictable. Their oddness wasn't tied to geography or heritage. It simply reflected who they were. They embodied lovable chaos in its purest form. Audiences felt the difference. One star recalled this shift as transformative. The new names, the adjusted personas, everything clicked. They inhabited their own universe. They'd enter talking nonsense, generate enormous laughs, and leave like they had somewhere else to disrupt. The creative team considered this a fortunate adjustment. Once they became these new characters, everything made sense. The audience knew trouble was arriving the moment that door opened. The names themselves triggered laughter before any dialogue. Behind the scenes, this gave writers tremendous freedom. The characters could now float between storylines, neighbors, co-workers, comic relief, or complete scene disruption. They didn't require justification for appearing. They could simply materialize, deliver perfectly placed humor, and vanish. The producer, famous for precision timing, recognized the brilliance immediately. They enter, get the reaction, and exit. That's valuable. Comedy architecture. When the producer first saw these performers, he recognized something beyond raw talent. He identified the missing element in his carefully constructed comedy formula. For him, successful sitcoms operated like social equations. Contrast was essential. You needed characters striving upward and characters reminding everyone that circumstances could deteriorate further. This was his comedy mathematics, and nobody calculated it more precisely. He examined the show and saw two working women attempting to escape their circumstances. They were dreamers and strugglers, already relatable and amusing. But even sympathetic underdogs needed someone less fortunate, someone louder and more chaotic. Somebody's got to represent rock bottom, he explained. This wasn't criticism, it was structural design. Every grounded character needed a wild card. For every sincere moment, chaos had to wait nearby. The leads provided emotional foundation, but these new characters were pressure release valves, bursting in at critical moments to transform tension into explosions of laughter. One actress observed, he approached comedy like mathematics. He understood joke placement, timing for maximum impact, and when to exit before staleness set in. With these characters, that timing reached perfection. Audiences knew every door opening guaranteed laughter, a rare comedic promise few shows could deliver. The formula wasn't merely about timing, it was about proper mixture. The leads weren't flawless, they possessed realistic flaws. Therefore, characters beneath them needed enough dimension to avoid seeming pitiful, while being sufficiently ridiculous to make the leads appear heroic by comparison. The chaos balanced the disorder, making the leads seem almost organized. This balance gave the show its distinctive character, the perfect entrance. Certain television moments announced themselves before appearing, and for this show, that moment was a creaking door followed by one perfect word. Audiences erupted every single time, regardless of plot developments, emotional weight, or dramatic tension. Once these characters appeared, everything shifted completely. This was entrance mastery, and nobody executed it better. From the beginning, the producer emphasized that timing was everything. The show's pace was lightning fast. Every gesture, every glance had to hit precisely. But with these characters, it transcended timing. It was pure instinct. They didn't simply walk in, they arrived. What began as basic stage direction evolved into anticipated ritual, part ceremony, part excitement, crafted by two performers who understood exactly how to command a room. The second that door creaked, laughter started. One star recalled. The audience anticipated what was coming. That's how powerful their rhythm became. The door itself signaled incoming comedy. The remarkable aspect was its simplicity. Specific physical choreography, height differences, distinctive walks, vocal pitches. Every detail was intentional. Every half second of silence before speaking built tension. Then impact. Instant laughter explosion. One actress called it controlled chaos, explaining, "They made that entrance seem accidental, but it was scientific. They knew exactly how to enter, when to pause, when to speak. Absolute genius." That pause, barely a heartbeat, was everything. It gave audiences just enough time to brace themselves. The entrances developed through relentless practice. Their synchronization was so precise it seemed telepathic. One glance communicated exactly when to strike. The physical choreography was planned meticulously, positioning, angles, eye contact duration, breaking moments. Slapstick precision disguised as spontaneity. Barely contained laughter. Audiences roared. Cameras rolled. And somewhere behind the laughter, the leading actresses fought for composure, anything to avoid breaking on camera. Because when these characters entered a scene, nobody was safe. The energy resembled sparks in dry grass. It didn't just catch, it spread instantly. "I nearly injured myself trying not to laugh," one star joked. It wasn't exaggeration. These performers possessed remarkable gifts for making even disciplined actors lose control. They weren't merely delivering lines. They were unpredictable, alive, slightly dangerous in the best possible way. Still, their chaos had structure. The producer ran productions like timing factories, tight scenes, quick jokes, faster resets. When improvisation occurred, it happened within that framework. The goal wasn't derailment, it was elevation. As one explained, we'd improvise, but controlled. You didn't want to throw partners off balance. You wanted to keep momentum alive, not destroy it. Yet accidents often became comedy gold. Sometimes stumbled lines or muttered asides, instead of ruining takes, made scenes funnier. The danger of improvisation created challenges for the leads. You couldn't help laughing even when it physically hurt, because if we gave in, they'd never stop. It wasn't just professionalism, it was survival. One smile could ruin perfect moments and require several minutes to reset. The crew struggled similarly, suppressing laughter behind equipment. The leads developed off-camera strategies. Before certain scenes, one would tell the other, "Don't look at them. Just don't," because one glance at those faces and everything collapsed. They were like living cartoons, one recalled. You couldn't manufacture that. That unpredictability made the show captivating. Audiences didn't just laugh. They felt part of something spontaneous and genuine.